you're only an internet connection away. To learn more, visit lakeland.edu/getstart.
All right, we're live.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season...
You got those numbers for me to call? I got Agri's
That's why
number.
he partners with Granger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Also, he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused.
All right. Yep.
Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Sports fans, listen up. One day men will be diagnosed with prostate
show.
cancer and bladder leaks.
Later.
That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 25 cents for every purchase of Depend shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi. Learn more at Depend.com.
WSSP Milwaukee, W289CB Milwaukee. The Cubs even up the series with a win in Game 4 over the Crew. How did the Brewers win in Game 5? We're talking playoff baseball on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, and free on the Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Mason Crosby. Want to hit up Potawatomi Sportsbook before a postseason game, but need a ride to the game? Hit 2 balls with 1 bat by hitching a ride on a Potawatomi Game Day shuttle. Make any purchase in Sportsbook or same-day sports bet to get a wristband and seat on the shuttle. Shuttles begin approximately 2 hours before the first pitch. Return shuttles run nonstop for 1 hour after the game. For more, visit Potawatomi.com. Bet above the rest. Hey, it's Tommy Works from the Green Bay Football Postgame Show. Tune in after the game on Sunday as me and Mitch Thunder Nellis recap Packers Bengals. It's the Green Bay Football Postgame Show on 1250 AM, 105.7 up from the Fan, and on the free Odyssey app.
Broadcasting live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.
Say again?
On 1250 AM
You're off and on.
and 105.7 FM, The Fan. A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee, on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
Lightning and the thunder. Trolley shares, I'm still scared of thunder.
It's time for Middays with Thunder with Mitch Nellis, broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Good midday and welcome in. High noon, and that means it's time for the Mason Crosby Show with me, Mitch Thunder Nellis. No Mason today. He is doing that family vacation, fundraising event thing. No Tommy Works today because you've got Tommy Works today from 2 to 6. He's in for Sparky, and he will be in for he's in for himself from 5 to 6. And so I am hanging out today with B Snizzle.
Yes.
Brandon Snide is in the house.
What are we doing? How are we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. You were just on with Kuhn and Rami.
Oh, yeah.
As you are Monday through Friday, 9 to noon with John Kuhn, Rami, and B Snizzle, Brandon Snide. And it's good. This is your maiden voyage, I believe, outside of the 9 to noon range.
No, I did this show before.
You did this show before?
I did this show. It was me and Tommy.
Oh,
I think you were in the morning, probably another time.
Right.
I think
yes.
I think it was, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe,
that week when Big T was in Dallas.
Yep.
Right.
That's correct.
Yep. And I was filling in for him.
That's correct.
First of all, 4:15 is really flipping early. I don't know if you've ever done mornings.
Oh, I have.
I never have in my career.
Stay away from it.
Yeah. As many of you know, I did afternoons with Homer for a long, long time. I did middays with Ted Davis and Dan Needles. Did mid-afternoon when I had my own show across the street. So I've been all over the place. I've avoided mornings. And then, of course, in the first 3 weeks, I do it 3 different times because Big T goes to Dallas, and then Josh takes his son to Comic-Con in New York and is like, hey, Thunder, you want to do mornings? No, Sparky.
Not really.
Don't.
Not really.
Especially after 2 of those 3 shows. One was after a Packers Thursday night game, and one of them was after an 8:08
That's
first
right.
pitch Milwaukee Brewers game.
So maybe you're the bad luck charm.
Well, the Packers won the Thursday night.
That's true. That's true.
That was all gravy.
That's true.
That was party time. So Brandon, I'm going to start with you, and I'm just going to say, what the hell? Like, what the hell, man? I don't like. Could you show up? If you showed up with that little energy to your job, do you think your boss calls you in? Do you think Sparky calls you in and be like, "Hey, Brandon, everything okay? Like, what happened?"
No, he'll come in like while I'm on the show.
Right.
What are you doing?
So should Pat Murphy or should Matt Arnold or should Mark Attanasio last night just like in the middle of the 5th inning just gone onto the field and been like, guys, if you want to go home right now, I say this to I coach softball. I say this to my 12 and 13-year-olds. They hate it. Coaching girls and coaching boys, we know, is different, and the way our youngsters in general communicate these days is different. But there are times where I'll say, hey, I know you want to be out here, but it looks like you don't want to be out here. I don't want to end practice because if I tell you we can end practice, I know you're all going to walk off the field. What can I do differently to get some energy from you today? And I don't, obviously coaching professionals, very different. Don't expect Pat Murphy to do that. And I know that we've been talking about this Brewers game on these airways for 6 straight hours. We had people texting in on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking Text Club at 7 a.m. during Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, with me today. Hey, can we talk about the Packers? Like, I'm already mad. I'm so mad about the Brewers. I can't talk about them anymore. We had people already doing that this morning. And I know you guys talked to Mo Egger. We're going to talk to Mo Egger. So now you're going to actually get to ask him some questions. So we are going to talk some Packers and Bengals on the show. We've got Mikey Henninger, like we do every Friday. He's going to join us next. So get your fantasy football questions in. You can text them in 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can find us at The Fan Milwaukee on Twitter. Or you can, there's numerous other ways to get a hold of us as well. We'll even take phone calls during that. But he's going to join us at noon. Mo Egger from ESPN Cincinnati is going to join us at 1. And I know we've been talking about Brewers, but we're going to continue talking about Brewers because I heard a lot of what you guys were talking about. And when you guys started your show at 9, you and I made a connection. And I don't know if you know that we made this connection. You knew it at the time. I don't know if you knew the impression it left on me. What did the Milwaukee Brewers do in the bottom of the first of game 1? What did they do, Brandon?
They responded.
But how many runs did they score?
6.
6 runs in 1 inning, right?
Sure did. It's Matthew Boyd after two.
Now you mentioned that name. Now what's that? Who was pitching for the Cubs?
Matthew Boyd, journeyman. Matthew Boyd.
Who pitched for the Cubs yesterday?
That would be Matthew Boyd once again.
And so you're telling me that just a few days ago in the first inning, the Brewers put 6 on Matthew Boyd. They chased him out, and then they got to face him again.
Correct.
So I assume, Brandon, that they just went up with the same lineup and took him down and did all the right things and went right after him, right?
Mitch, no. They did not. They actually went the complete opposite.
That is not the answer I'm looking for. I literally saw the starting lineup yesterday, and I texted Tommy Wirtz, host of the leadoff show, what the actual hell? Like, how I get there's tinkering, and I get there's being cute, but what are we doing? What are we doing when we are changing lineups in a way that doesn't make sense? I don't know if you follow how closely you follow Sparky on Twitter.
I do,
but I get his tweets as alerts. Because I've never seen anyone retweet more useful information than Sparky. Like, he follows writers, and he just tweeted out all the numbers of Sal Frelick as a leadoff hitter versus everything else. He just tweeted out the team's win-loss record when Sal Frelick is a leadoff hitter. And this wasn't even my fight. Like, I'm going to let this be Sparky's fight. This is not my argument. But the numbers are off the flipping charts. Sal Frelick as a leadoff hitter, both for him personally and for the team, and Sal Frelick anywhere else. And yet we're throwing Christian Yelich up there because Murph has a hunch that he just wants to get Yelich more at bats. After Jackson Chourio owns the postseason and also deserves to be leading off more than Christian Yelich does, and keeping Bryce Terang as your cleanup hitter, your number 4 guy, when he's leading the team in strikeouts.
He don't look comfortable. Bryce Terang doesn't look comfortable.
No,
Jackson Chourio coming into that game 3, Mitch, was hitting 574.
Yeah. And he's still hitting 450.
I mean, he's still great.
Right, he's still great. I agree. And we talked about this a little bit this morning as well. So, by knowing Tommy now, that like we love Bryce Terang. Like, we had a bet earlier this year about a Bryce Terang tattoo and how we were going to make sure it was a Bryce Terang tattoo and not a Mason Crosby tattoo because they both wear number 2. But trying to figure out like what is going on, it's like, again, I go back to, I don't know anything about coaching except for what I know about coaching. When I see my players standing at the plate and like not focused, just like flopping their arms at the ball, something's wrong. Like it's either mental or that physically they don't feel comfortable. And I think he doesn't feel comfortable batting 3rd or 4th. Even if he goes with the same approach, even if he thinks he's doing all the right things, I think something's off with Bryce Terang.
Mm-hmm.
I think when he batted 2nd in game 1 and game 2, he looked much better. He did strike out a lot still, but at least he looked better.
Had a big double in game 1.
Yeah, of course. I also know that you don't talk to managers about their lineup, right? Man, that's like the holy grail. That's the sacred whatever. But I just and I know we've been talking about this for 6+ hours. And some of you probably talked about it last night. And some of you probably didn't sleep that well. But it's a little befuddling to me that's where we are. And now facing an elimination game for the first time this season. 414-677-1250 is the phone number. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. We're also on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, if you got YouTube on your phone or on your computer, you can jump on the YouTube and you can follow us there. We are live. Go to @TheFanMilwaukee. You do need that @ sign, so go to @TheFanMilwaukee there. We would love to see you on the YouTube channel. And again, get your fantasy football questions in because we do want to hear from you. Mikey Henninger from Basement Brood Fantasy Football is going to join us next. I did put a question up on Twitter. Brandon, are you not stitious? Are you a little stitious? Or are you superstitious?
I'm superstitious.
You're superstitious.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I haven't gotten a haircut since this series began.
Okay. I like that. You Trevor's doing that also.
Yeah, because they went up 2-0. I'm like, I can't ruin it.
Right.
I can't. I gotta let it.
Were you due for a haircut?
Oh yeah, every
Okay.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm overdue.
Yeah, that's okay. My wife is also superstitious. When I was dating my wife is from outside of Knoxville.
Okay.
When I was dating my wife, I was down there for Thanksgiving or the week before. I was down there for a week in October, actually. It was a week in October. And Tennessee was playing Florida. And Tennessee wasn't playing well. And my wife's older sister was like, from the kitchen, you can see into the family room. But like, she was doing something in the kitchen, watching the game. And Tennessee got like an interception or something. They made her stand in the kitchen for the rest of the game.
I would do the same
Right.
thing. Yeah.
This is like they got an interception and then they went down and scored. And it's like, everybody where you are, that's where you are staying for the rest of the game. Okay. So my wife is superstitious. My wife in 2021 went to one Bucks playoff game. I believe it was a home loss to the Atlanta Hawks. Remember, we played the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yep.
We lost the game at home, right? Trae Young went nuts.
Did game 2?
I think
was it
game
game 1? Might have been one of the two.
Yeah. She was at that game. That is the last Bucks playoff game she was at. Now, she was at last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago where Dame hit the buzzer beater from basically half court against Sacramento? There was a Dame time
That
game.
was the first year.
That was the first
Dame.
year.
Yeah.
So she was at that game. She's been to wins. But she was at like one win in 2018, but a couple losses. And since then has not been at a Brewers playoff game that they have won at home. I think she went to an Arizona game a couple of years ago, went to an Atlanta game for sure. And so did not go last year to any of the games. And hasn't gone to any of the Bucks playoff games since then. We have tickets tomorrow night.
She's not going.
Here's what I posted both on at Thunder MKE on Facebook and on Twitter. I said, Mrs. Thunder thinks she is a jinx. She is all caps super regular case stitious. The Bucks and Brewers have lost more in the playoffs than won when she's in attendance. She wants to go tomorrow night, but also does not want to. What say you? So I have it up as a poll on Twitter at Thunder MKE. I don't know if you want to retweet it or if we can retweet it from at the Fan Milwaukee, because we got 15 votes so far. I mean, I just put it up before the show, and early returns on this. 67% of people say no, say stay away, red rum. 33% of people say go and break the jinx. I haven't read any of the comments yet on Facebook, but we will get to those as well. As I know, the first one that came in right away was stay away. That was, Paul wrote in on Facebook, stay away. And there's a bunch of comments coming in now. And
it is on the fan account now.
Okay,
so if you're over there on X for 1057 The Fan, you can go ahead and vote.
Yep. Michael says, you already know the answer, Mitchell. Wow. Let's see. My brother-in-law Trey, who actually is going to the game, and we're trying to figure out like who's using the tickets, says go because she'll be with me and her sister, and you have to break the curse at some point, right?
I don't know if this is the game for it though. I said this is the biggest postseason game in the franchise history.
We'll get to that. That's crazy.
I don't know if you can ruin it though. You can't break it with this game.
Frank, who's a huge Bucks and Cubs fan, says please go. Smiley face. And Paul again says stay away. So 414-677-1250. Would love your thoughts on the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. Should Mrs. Thunder go to the game tomorrow night? She does not have a good track record in the playoffs. She's not bankrupt. Like she's not empty. She has seen wins. We saw wins in 2011 when Big Rumble, who's 15 now, fell asleep as Ryan Braun was doing all the things against the Cardinals. I think we at least went to games 1 and 2 in that series. She's been to some wins. She's not seen no wins. But she is nervous because she thinks if they lose, it's going to be her fault. I did tell her there will be more than 42,000 other people there, and there will be teams on the field who do actually play that determine the outcome. But she is very nervous about this. So would love to hear, Brandon, your gut reaction is stay away.
I think you have to. You can't. There's enough bad energy, Mitch, already in this series, right? Like you go up 2-0, you fall down. Now you're tied things at 2 apiece. The Wrigley crowd was into it. You know those people are going to pack the stadium tomorrow. Those Cubs fans are going to be.
They're going to do their best.
There's going to be enough bad energy in that building. I don't know if I'm sure she's a wonderful person. Yeah, I would have.
She's great. I love her.
I would. I have no doubt about it. But I think you got to keep her at home and you keep the good vibes going,
man,
or at least turn the vibes around.
Yeah,
like, we've got too many bad vibes going right now. Yeah. I would offer to take her spot, but I don't like going to watch games in arenas.
Yeah,
that's another hot take. No, I like being. I cannot. I'm an anxious fan. Yeah. I don't eat.
Right.
I don't drink.
Yeah, I heard about that, about the eating.
Yeah. So like,
I mean, I have problems with too much eating. Like I do the opposite.
Well, I do
just,
too. That
I'm like num 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 num. Put it in front of me. I want all the num nums.
I'm already nervous for this game. Mitch.
Oh, I am.
And it's
Brandon,
Friday afternoon.
when we started this morning, we were 37 hours away. We are now 24 plus 7. We're now 31 hours away from first pitch. And I also feel like I feel crazy. Scotty Tiffany says no to the game. Make her stand in the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen we're talking about is in like rural Tennessee.
Yeah, and
that
was a different
kitchen.
game.
Right,
that was a different team.
Exactly. But I like it. Carrie from Tulsa says, please do not let her come. We need this win so badly. She can go to a game next season. Please, not tomorrow. Wow. That is real. Unbelievable. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be sharing all these with her. So if anybody thinks she should go to break the jinx, she was at, I think she went to one game this year, and the Brewers did beat Garrett Crochet and the Boston Red Sox on Memorial Day. Okay. Garrett Crochet, I would argue, the second best pitcher in the American League after Skubal.
Do you have anybody in your life that's good luck? Like no matter what they do, like if they play
Big
like
Rumble. My daughter is better luck, but it's homecoming tomorrow night.
Well,
like she wins more than she loses. I mean
it's homecoming or it's game 5. I mean, come on.
I know. we went to the Giannis block, game 4 of the final.
Oh,
got it.
And
we were in that corner. Like that's where my season tickets were. Like, so like that alley-oop was like literally coming to us. And then Giannis, like,
one of the best days of my life.
That was unbelievable.
One of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
Tomorrow can be one of the worst days of my life.
Well, or not.
I know.
Or not.
There's that.
It could also go the other way. He's Brandon Snide. My name's Mitch Nelson, a.k.a. Thunder. Again, Mikey Henninger's coming up next. So we want your fantasy football questions. If you've got any fantasy football questions, get them in here at the Fan Milwaukee, 414-677-1250. He is coming up. It's the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We are in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Freezing.
This is Middays with Thunder edition of the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. And my name is Mitch Nelson, a.k.a. Thunder. Mason is somewhere in the middle of Alabama. Tommy's back in the bullpen, dugout. I don't know what we call it. What do we
Locker room,
locker room?
Something. I don't know. Locker
Yeah.
room. Maybe not locker room.
Maybe, yeah. Locker room's stinky. Right?
Yeah. We don't want that.
No. But joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one call. That's all. He joins us every Friday, typically at 12:20 or 1 o'clock, depending on his flexibility. Well, he's flexible, depending on what we got going on. From Basement Brewed Fantasy Football, Mikey Henninger. Mikey, what's going on, my man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for bringing me back for another Friday.
Absolutely. I'm coming right at you, guns blazing, because right. You told me something, and I listened but didn't listen. Yeah, it's kind of like me as a husband. I sometimes I listen, I kind of listen. You told me, because remember when Malik Neighbors and Tyreek Hill both got hurt?
I have them. Yeah. I have both guys on the same team in one league. So yeah, I remember.
That is special. And I said to you, like, hey, you have to pick up Wan'Dale Robinson, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, you got to pick him up. Like he's going to be like Miami. It could be a little more nebulous about who's going to get those targets. But in New York, it's Wan'Dale's going to be like the de facto number one. Like, you got to go get him. So what did I do? I listened to my friend Mikey and I picked him up.
Good.
Great, right? Guess who's on my bench after last night?
Yeah, I saw that coming. I mean, what were your other options? What were your other options?
All right, in the one that matters, because we're all in a few leagues, of course.
Yeah.
Sure. But the one that matters, I mean, listen, I have actually, you're gonna get really mad at me here. I have Devontae Adams, who I'm fine with Devontae Adams. But the other options I have is kind of a mishmash of Quentin Johnston, Marvin Harrison Jr. I do still have Matthew Golden. I have Rashid Shaheed on that team. I have Jamison Williams on that team. I have almost too many wide receivers on this team. But Wan'Dale Robinson would have been a nice number 2 after Devontae on that one.
It would have, but you know what, man? With Marvin Harrison and with Quentin Johnston playing the way that that dude's an automatic start wide receiver 1 right now. I can't.
And that's what I thought. Except that he's questionable. Like that's the only thing. Like seeing that he's questionable, should I have put Wan'Dale in for him? But you're right. I have Quentin in as like right now. I have Devontae and Quentin, and I'm happy with it. Like I'm good.
Everybody's questionable in week 6. I'm questionable for this week.
Fair.
You know, so
that's fair. I like that. But kudos to you for telling everybody a couple weeks ago that Wan'Dale Robinson was going to be the man, because he is one of the men, and it looks like the Giants are going to be decent, and he should be a pretty good fantasy wide receiver the rest of the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I know you're on my newsletter, Thunder, so hopefully you caught Kendrick Bourne before his blow up last week.
So that was, I definitely saw that.
Sure.
But and as a Patriots guy, like I know the Mac Jones Kendrick Bourne connection, like that's real. But I obviously that one I didn't make a move on. I think because I have Ricky Pearsall in a different league, and I'm just kind of like waiting for him to get back. But so last night, notwithstanding, and we'll get to the Eagles and the mess they are fantasy wise. What has popped out to you this week? Is there anything? I know if teams have buys. Is Joe Flacco a guy? Maybe not maybe against the Packers, but just in general, like, is the Bengals offense with their wide receivers good enough that it's worth maybe looking at Joe Flacco?
So Joe Flacco as a standalone fantasy football option, I'm going to say no. However, what he does for that offense is a very good thing if you roster Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I sent out an email blast to my subscribers suggesting, or maybe letting them know that I personally sent out some trade offers to try and acquire Chase Brown, who's been terrible from a fantasy football standpoint this year. Joe Flacco peppered Cleveland Browns running backs with 8+ targets per game in the 4 starts that he had in Cleveland.
That sounds pretty good.
Chase Brown is coming off, 7 targets, I think, last week. So I think he's a sneaky bet to start racking up some dump offs from the 40-year-old statue quarterback behind a really bad offensive line.
I don't hate that. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. You can text in your fantasy questions for Mikey, or you can give us a call. Again, 414-677-1250. Staying with the Bengals real quick. If you don't have an IR slot, is Joe Burrow worth keeping on your roster?
No. If he comes back, it'll be like maybe the championship of fantasy football, and it's going to take a while to ramp up. All of the Twitter doctors that I follow suggest it's going to take time for him to get back to full capacity. He's shoot for 2026 with Joe Burrow.
Got it. I will make that determination. I had Burrow and Caleb Williams in a league. It does have an IR slot, so I put Burrow on. I picked up Stafford. I don't love Stafford, but he's he's okay.
If you got Caleb Williams, you don't have any reason to even carry a second quarterback. Obviously, I'm team Go Pack Go, but Caleb Williams he's
just so inconsistent. I feel like some weeks he's great, and some weeks he's a dud. You don't think so?
Here's the thing, not this year. This year he's getting 20 per week, and it's pretty consistent. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make that change right now. I think Brandon's got for you. So
I'm gonna stick with the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, Mikey out or potentially out. Looks like he'll be out. Kyler Murray out. Any quarterback under the radar. I know we were kind of just talking about quarterbacks. I'm seeing a lot of Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Bo Nix. Any under the radar quarterbacks this week that you're keeping an eye on for those guys, for those teams that have guys like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray? And yes, I'm asking you a personal question because I have both of them on my team this week.
You can drop Kyler Murray.
Well, Kyler might actually play this week, by the way,
I don't believe in him after last week. I actually would have disbanded the team, the Arizona Cardinals, after what they did last week.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my streamer cheat sheet, one guy that I sent out another email alert to my subscribers about this week, I said, if you're desperate for a quarterback, take a really good look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones just has a really, really, really nice setup this week. It's a possible shootout with the Buccaneers. He's playing really, really well for the 49ers. It's the Kyle Shanahan effect where, any one of us three could play quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense and put up 15 to 20 fantasy points. But then you got... Yeah, and then you got the matchup. The matchup is a pretty good one as well. The Buccaneers are giving up the 5th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. All 5 quarterbacks that have faced the Buccaneers have scored at least 15 fantasy points against them. And we're talking about some guys like Tyrod Taylor, Michael Penix, CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold. Mac Jones is pretty high on my plug and play streamer list. But I think I heard you mention, Brandon, Drake May. If a guy like that is available, then yeah, he would get the nod over Mac Jones, in my opinion.
And they play New Orleans, so that's a great matchup, or potentially a great matchup.
They should be okay there.
It's a solid matchup, and the thing with Drake May is that he brings you rushing, or a nice rushing floor every week, so it gets you those quote unquote, what should we call it, guaranteed points, which is always a risky word to use in fantasy football. But anybody who brings some rushing ability is going to be a safer bet than a guy like Mac Jones, who needs to butter his bread on touchdowns and passing yards.
The website is basementbroodff.com, basementbroodff.com. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week with some of our Packers reporters. Josh Jacobs is getting the carries, but he's not getting the explosive. He hasn't had the explosive runs. His yard per average is worst among the top 18 rushers in the NFL. They are playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, however, this week. But we also don't know the health of the offensive line as we keep watching. We assume Rasheed Walker's out. We don't know what Aaron Banks and Zach Tom are going to do. What do you foresee for Josh Jacobs for this week, but also, for the next few weeks? Is he gonna get back to being one of the top guys like he was last year?
Yeah, it's funny when you were mentioning his struggles, Thunder, I was thinking, yeah, but he hasn't played the Bengals yet. If there was ever a week that I would be excited to have Josh Jacobs in my lineup, this is the one. It's a very mouth-watering situation for Josh Jacobs. I have him pegged for about 17 to 24 PPR points this week. Here's the thing. The Packers are the only red flag with Josh Jacobs this week is that the Packers are 14.5-point favorites. That's the type of spread that suggests a blowout win. I mean, if they're winning by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, it might be Emmanuel Wilson time.
I was going to say anytime.
If anybody out there is listening and they need a desperate long shot running back, Emmanuel Wilson is kind of sneaky this week. But when you look at the matchup, Thunder, the Bengals are, they silver platter fantasy points to running backs on a weekly basis. First of all, they're allowing the most touches to running backs in all of football. So Josh Jacobs is a pretty good bet for volume. But then the 3rd most rushing yards, 16th most catches, 2nd most touchdowns. Ultimately, these guys are giving up the 2nd most PPR points per game and the 5th most PPR points per touch. They're giving up about 1 point every single time a running back touches the football. You get Josh Jacobs 20 to 25 touches this week, he should be able to do some damage.
Go ahead.
Any running backs that are handling 15-plus touches against Cincinnati this year are averaging 17-plus PPR points per game. So
sounds like
volume.
It should be a good matchup.
Yeah, volume should be there. Efficiency should be there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And last but not least, when you look at their projected team total, the Packers actually have the highest implied team total in all of NFL this week. 30 teams on the slate. The Packers are expected to score 29 plus. There should be touchdown opportunities and everything.
I predicted 38, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. All right, so basementbroodff.com. Mikey, tell us about what you got going on the site, what the newsletter, what the LinkedIn page, all the stuff going on right now.
Man, newsletters come out Sunday mornings. If anybody's up and early with a cup of coffee on Sunday mornings, I do a live start-sit fantasy football show. We talk about the upcoming week. We answer questions just like we're doing right now. Posting every single day on LinkedIn. Other than that, during the week, if you're on the newsletter, you're going to get things like the waiver wire cheat sheet. You're going to get anytime I write about a player and I like their outlook for the upcoming week, I send out an email blast. Hey, give this running back, this wide receiver, this tight end, etc. a look. So lots of different things going on basically every single day. But I would say basementbroodff.com is the starting point. That's the hub where if you want to be introduced to the chaos.
Absolutely. I'm looking at it right now. Outsmart your competition, dominate your leagues, win more prizes. BBFF delivers start-sit analysis, waiver wire cheat sheets, Discord community, and more to help you. Mikey, have a great weekend. Any predictions for tomorrow night at AmFam Field?
Brewers in 5. I say probably 19-0. I think Milwaukee wins.
Stop.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I love it, but I hate it.
I love that.
I know. Oh, good.
They got it,
God-
man. They got
Hey,
it. My
Mikey,
heart.
from your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, I
will say
can't. My
that.
heart can't take a loss to the
No,
Cubs tomorrow.
no.
So it's got to be
Amen.
19-0. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mikey, have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
You as well. That's Mikey Henninger. Remember, it's basementbroodff.com, basementbroodff.com. Mikey joined us on the fan guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. A little more Brewer talk when we come back. Who should start Game 5? Who should pitch in Game 5? We're going to share our thoughts. Mo Egger from ESPN Cincinnati is going to join us at 1 o'clock. And then I got a little Giannis talk I want to get into in the 1 o'clock hour as well. Bucks now have a couple preseason games under their belts. Giannis hasn't played. A buddy of mine sent me a highlight of Thanasis making an awesome play.
He did look good last night.
Yeah.
He did look good.
I heard he looked
yeah.
and he had a great play. I don't know that it I don't know. I don't think it translates into real NBA play.
Correct.
But like if you're gonna be a preseason warrior, go be a preseason warrior, man.
I love Thanasis though.
Yeah,
you gotta love him.
I know. I do too. I agree. This is the Mason Crosby Show, powered by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We are in the fan studios, presented by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and a little more Brewers talk. Who should start tomorrow night? And not just who should start, who should open, who should pitch, who do you have on your roster for tomorrow night with our Milwaukee Brewers? That and more coming up next. little Milwaukee sports radio blast from the past on this song, IYKYK. If you know, you know. I feel like it should be 5:50 p.m. right now. But you know, that's H&T, baby. That's H&T for those of you who remember. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. My name is Mitch Nellis, aka Thunder. Brandon Snide is here with me as well. Again, our thanks to Mikey Henninger, Basement Brewed Fantasy Football, jumping on the fan guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. Still taking your text. Do you think Mrs. Thunder should come to the game tomorrow night? I wouldn't say she's a jinx. I would say she just has a bad record in the playoffs as a Bucks and Brewers fan. But she's not like an Ofer. Like, she's not like 0 for 10. She's seen Bucks playoff wins. She has seen Brewers playoff wins. They just like she got freaked out when the Bucks lost to the Hawks in 2021 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And since then, she's really tried to stay away from playoff games. That was like 4 years ago, man. And she's gone to lots of regular season games. She's seen lots of wins. She saw the Brewers beat Garrett Crochet this year, who was like one of the most dominant pitchers in all of baseball. Gave up a leadoff home run to Jackson Chourio, which he can't do if he's not leading off. Murph.
That's true.
Right? That's science, right, Brandon?
That is
that's how science works.
That seems to be that's proven to be true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. So we saw Freddie in game one. We saw Aaron Ashby. I always want to say Andy Ashby. Do you remember Andy Ashby?
Why does that sound familiar?
I believe it's Aaron's uncle, who was also a major league pitcher for a long time. Yeah. I always want to say Andy Ashby. We saw Aaron Ashby as an opener in game two. We saw Quinn Priester do something. I'm not sure what in game three.
He was there.
He was there. We saw Freddie Peralta pitch yesterday. Obviously the home run to Ian Happ was really good besides that, but that's great. Like, who cares? Not great overall. And now we get to game five. Tomorrow night, 7:08 first pitch in Milwaukee, not at Wrigley. So it is a home game. And the Milwaukee Brewers have a number of pitchers on their roster who could be considered as openers and or closers in this series. And I'll just throw out some of those names. Coming in, well, let's start with Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester started game 3 in Chicago. So game 4, then a day off. He'd be pitching on 2 days rest, 39 total pitches. And getting the butterflies out in game 3, he might be Quinn Priester again. So I'm throwing Quinn Priester out there. Jose Quintana then came in relief of Quinn Priester. And he pitched, I believe, 49 pitches in his 3 innings, where he was pretty flawless. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 hits. So wasn't dominant, but was normal Jose Quintana, steady veteran, can always count on him. Game 1 after game 2, I'm sorry, after Ashby pitched and then Mears got an out, we did see 3 innings from Jacob Mizorowski, who in 3 innings struck out 4, 2 walks, 1 hit, and would be pitching. If he pitched game 2, day off, 3-4 day off. For starters pitch on 4 days rest, he's got a full 4 days rest. After that, you kind of run out of options in terms of openers or starters unless you're really looking at a 1-inning guy. I mean, like a guy like Jared Koenig could pitch the first inning tomorrow night just to get a lefty to face Bush, right? And so
forces counsel's hand to maybe even put Turner out there.
Right, exactly. So there's that question of like, do you have the lefty? Or knowing that Aaron Ashby has pitched in 3 of the 4 games, maybe he only has 1 inning for you. And you're not even trying to get him to 2 or 3 like you would have liked to in game 2. And maybe he could start the game. A guy like Chad Padrick, who started the first 2/3 of the season before getting sent down and then was the starter at Nashville. Now he has pitched in 3 games and has only pitched 3 innings. So they've really kind of, I think, circuited his brain and his body to come out of the bullpen. But he's been very effective out of the bullpen in 3 games, 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, no hits, no walks, just complete dominance from Chad Patrick for the Milwaukee Brewers. And that's their pitching staff. I don't know. I actually had a friend throw out to me, Brandon, you're going to love this. I had a friend throw out to me last night. Just throw McGill in the first.
I heard that we had that today, and I go,
just throw 101 out there in the first inning. Just mow some people down. He's done, but then you only got an 8-inning game. All right, and I don't love that. Tommy and I were talking about it because I said on Inside Wisconsin Sports today, I liked the righty sandwich of Priester, Quintana, Mizorowski, and I also like the difference in style, not just the righty lefty, but the difference in style they bring. Tommy said to me, the only problem with that is that Bush is leading off the game against a righty. And if we really want to prevent that, then do you start Quintana? And I said, if you can get 3 from Quintana and 3 from Mizorowski, if I told you that right now, I don't know how many runs they're going to give up, but assuming they pitch a clean 3, there might be a run here and there. Would you take that right now?
Absolutely.
Quintana for 3, Mizorowski for 3.
100%. Who wouldn't?
Get to 6 innings.
Yeah.
And then maybe Priester. You even got Priester to pitch an inning or 2. You definitely have Patrick. You definitely have Koenig and Uribe, of course, at the back end. You got Mears, who's pitched in 3 games, but has only pitched an inning and 2/3. So it's not like he's been overused. I think Quintana starting this game with Mizorowski coming in to a clean inning. So if Peralta gets in trouble in the 3rd, that's when you bring in Mears, or that's when you bring in Ashby, depending on the matchups, to get just out of that inning. Mizorowski has to start a clean inning. He can't come in with the bases busy. But I think I would take Quintana Mizorowski as the game 5 plan.
And to your point, because I like it, because I think you should start with a lefty in this one. Michael Bush, outside of I know Kyle Tucker had a home run last night. I know, Nico Horner's been really good, but outside of Michael Bush, who really scares you in that Cubs lineup?
Right.
And I'm not trying to be that guy that's ragging on the Cubs, but they just haven't done anything offensively. They were not the same Cubs offense that we saw in June and July. I would roll out Quintana, to your point, for Mizorowski. And if Miz doesn't have it, which is possible because we saw that, you also have Chad Patrick, who has not given up a single hit.
He's given up nothing. His whip is 0. Not his ERA. His whip is 0.
Nothing. Yeah, he's been lights out. So if we brought this up on 9 to Noon, and I'm curious your thoughts, though, because this is a bit of a gamble, though, Mitch. This is a bit of a gamble. But if you want that crowd at American Family Field to get ready, to get riled up, to rival what the Cubs were going to do,
I know where you're going.
You roll out Miz in inning number 1, and he's throwing. He's going to be amped up.
He's going to be throwing 104.
104, and
that was crazy, by the way, when he was hitting 104.
And he kept going up. He kept climbing.
Right. It was like 104.2, 104.3, 104.5.
That's the thing, man. But then obviously you would see Michael Bush. That would obviously, but Council may just be like, hey, it's just game 5. You're whoever's out there, you're going out there anyway.
That's what I would do.
It doesn't I would too. It doesn't automatically remove Michael Bush from the lineup. But if you really want to take a bit of a gamble, and I know that's a loose term, but Miz hasn't been the greatest since that injury stint he had in mid-August. That would be fun though. That would get the crowd going.
So that would definitely be fun. It would definitely get the crowd going. But I will say there is something to be said for changing batters, angles, changing batters' approaches. And that's why I would probably err on the side of Quintana first, because then you get the guys, get one through the order, and you get the guys ready to face Quintana or with the slower, the lefty, the way he pitches and throwing, hitting the corners and a little bit slower. And then you switch to Mizorowski, and then his 104 looks like 108 because they just saw Quintana and going to Mizorowski. But I assume that's the way to go. Real quick, we got about a minute left here. Do you have an idea on what the Cubs are going to do?
No, but if I had to guess, it's going to be Colin Ray or Aaron Savali, or it might be both.
You don't think Shota?
I say the same. I say the same thing about Matthew Boyd. I know he pitched really well, but his record at Wrigley Field is 12-1, now 13-1
Right.
this season. Shota, I just don't know if they wheel him back out there. Colin Ray hasn't pitched a ton. Aaron Savali, we saw in game 1, he held it his own, but then that's 2 righties. It could be a situation where they open up with Colin Ray or maybe Aaron Savali, then they go to Shota. But the other good thing, the silver lining, the Cubs tax their high leverage arms these last 2 games. So there's the good news.
I am predicting Colin Ray. I think I know there's familiarity there, but he's he's been a pretty good pitcher. He is Brandon Sneid. My name's Mitch Nelson, aka Thunder. It's the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. Mo Egger, ESPN Cincinnati, will join us next. Packers Bengals preview. Come on, Packers. Can you get something done? This is the Middays with Thunder edition of the Mason Crosby Show. My name's Mitch Nellis, aka Thunder. Brandon Snide is with me today. Tommy Wirtz is coming up next. He is in for Sparky today on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Of course, no leadoff show today. There will be a leadoff show tomorrow, though. Hopefully not the last one. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. From ESPN Cincinnati, the one, the only, Mo Egger. Mo, long time no talk on these airwaves. I feel like I was just listening to you during my nap a couple hours ago.
Well, that speaks a lot for how good I was if I put you to sleep. So, no one, unfortunately.
It wasn't you, it was Kuhn. Let's be honest.
Unfortunately, we don't have a Reds-Brewers playoff series, so I guess our paths have not had to intersect. But here we are, Bengals-Packers.
Right. Well, my first question was going to be Reds because, we talked the last week of the regular season about the excitement in Cincinnati. I know it's not the same excitement when you're on the road, right? Like Major League Baseball has kind of messed this up where it's like you make the playoffs. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament, like the teams that lose in Dayton. Like, I feel like they didn't really make the NCAA tournament. You know, the team, when you're a road team and you lose in the opening round, especially, you're playing at the Dodgers, who are this behemoth. Like, what was there excitement in Cincinnati? Was it tempered because you knew you were running up against a buzzsaw? And does it, we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago too. Like, is there cause for future expectations or opportunity because the Reds got into the playoffs?
So I think most Reds fans have really complex feelings about how things went down at the end. When you're a franchise, if we set aside 2020, which I think most of us do, they hadn't played in the postseason since 2013. Yeah. So beggars can't be choosers, right? Hey, any postseason action, whether it's home, road, 2 games, whatever it is better than what we've gotten. So I think there was that. I think there's a real sense. One of the cliche things we do in sports talk radio, it's like, was the season a success? Mm-hmm. And I think if you ask most of us that question, we'll go, ask me in a year. Because if this season that just ended proves to be kind of that first step on the way toward being postseason perennials and going into years where you're thinking about them as legitimate championship contenders, then I think most of us will view 2025 as successful. I think if this ends up being the high point of, this process, which started 5 years ago, and they're not in the postseason next year, or they're barely scraping by into the postseason again, then I don't think anybody's going to look back on this season with any amount of fondness. Look, they were an 83-win team. Right, they needed the Mets to collapse at the end. True. They needed New York to lose game 162 to get in. And so I think the idea next year is to go into the postseason not needing any help from outsiders, or maybe not playing meaningful games in that final weekend like they were in Milwaukee. So we'll see. I think I say this all the time. I think that the step the Reds have to take now is the most difficult. Like, they've gone from 100 losses in 2022 to where they are now, and where they've been really 2 of the last 3 years, 82 wins, 83 wins. I think the next step, which is to, contend for division titles and ensure that you're in the postseason as a bona fide championship contender, to go from where they are to what they want to be, is the most difficult step. And it's going to be really fascinating to me this offseason to see what they do to take that step.
Mo, real quick, I don't know if there's any Brewer or Cub venom in Cincinnati. Is there a rooting interest? Like, the Reds fans dislike one of these teams more than the other? Cubs, say Cubs. And so is there any rooting interest with this series and tomorrow night?
I think most Reds fans would say they're rooting for the Brewers because, Indiana's a Cubs state. We border Indiana. Cubs fans, and I know Brewers fans know what this is like. I heard what games 1 and 2 sounded like.
This is the word.
Yeah. So I think because of how they, for me, they fill the ballpark and they spend money, so great. But I think because Reds fans will tell you they have more negative interpersonal experiences with Cubs fans, I think most would tell you they're rooting for Milwaukee. And then I think there's also a bit of a small market kinship. So if they advance and play the Dodgers, I think, and I think this applies to the Cubs as well. I think small market Reds fans look at the Brewers and go, that's who we need. And I've talked about this a lot. Like folks go, well, God, we can't compete with the Dodgers. And I go, cool. Can you compete with the Brewers? Because you're having a hard time doing that. I think most Reds fans look at the Brewers as, okay, they're doing it. They're good every year. They're not in a great market. They're not in a big market. They're in a great market.
I get it.
They're not in a big market.
No shade. Yep.
No, Milwaukee's awesome. But I mean, I think most Reds fans go, well, there's no excuse for our franchise to not do it because in Milwaukee, they figure it out every single year. And so I think most Reds fans are probably rooting for Milwaukee.
Nice.
Go
ahead, Brandon.
I just wanted to get transition into football here. Mo Egger, Brandon Snide here talking with you. I know we talked a little earlier on the 9 to noon program. Joe Flacco in Cincinnati coming from Cleveland. Did you guys see that coming? And how you feeling with Mr. Flacco at the helm leading your football team?
You know, of all the different possibilities that were thrown out there, right? I mean, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins. Tom Brady, Boomer Esiason. I mean, like of all the names that were thrown out there, I never heard anybody suggest Joe Flacco. To me, the Bengals and Browns have never successfully executed a trade, and there's not a ton of intra-division trades in the NFL. But these are franchises that don't have a great history with each other. They tried to execute a trade back many years ago for A.J. McCarron that fell through, and it depends on who you ask. Where you want to lay blame depends on who you ask. So to me, the first and most surprising thing was, wait, the Bengals and Browns just made a trade in season?
In season.
And then it was like, wow, nobody said Joe Flacco. I've made this comparison. If you've ever, shown up at work and there was a meeting and at the meeting they had donuts, but the meeting is over and there's that plate with like 3 donuts and there's like a half donut that somebody has like put their fingers on, and there's like a weird coconut donut, and then there's like a jelly, and you're kind of like, I am hungry. I don't love coconut donuts, but I think that's what they were doing. They were picking through a bad bunch. So Joe Flacco, I think on the positive side of it, you go, seen everything, done everything, quick study, and knows that if Jamar Chase is open, I should probably throw him the ball. And so
that is the point. That is the point of all of this, right, Mo? Is that Browning either wouldn't or couldn't or refused to throw the ball to an open Jamar Chase, and that Joe Flacco, at least his orders are at least just throw the ball to the guy.
Yeah, many have said, with this, desperate times call for desperate measures. Jake Browning's play put them in desperation mode. They had and should have had complete confidence in Jake Browning based on how he played in 7 games in 2023, has been with the team now for 4 years. I think everybody, whether they're connected to the team, on the team, or just root for the team, is shocked by the level of incompetence we saw from Jake Browning. I think we all expected him to be okay.
Yeah.
And look, he wasn't going to be Joe Burrow, who is, but I think most expected the team to compete. In the last 3 games, they fell behind 48-3 to Minnesota. They fell behind 28-3 to Denver, and they fell behind 28-3 against Detroit before scoring some garbage time points. So the play had to be wretched for them to do this. And unfortunately for Jake, the play was wretched. And when I think of these 3 games, what I think of more than anything is watching in person going, hey, Jamar Chase is open. Jake, throw him the ball. Okay, maybe not. And so start there. Is Joe Flacco going to be able to pick up the offense quickly? Yeah, he did in Cleveland 2 years ago. Is Joe Flacco going to be able to, know what the Green Bay Packers are doing? Yeah, he just played against him. Plus, he's seen every defense known to man. And when Joe Flacco drops back to pass, if Jamar Chase or anybody else is open, will he know I should throw him the ball? I think the answer is yes. The downside of it is he's 40. He's not very mobile, and that's putting it kindly. Yep. And he plays behind a terrible offensive line. And so there's kind of a ticking time bomb feel to this where, okay, they're going to try to get through the next 2.5 months with Joe Flacco. Is that really going to work given his lack of mobility and the poor quality of the Bengals offensive line?
Well, the Steelers are 3-1. The Bengals are 2-3. The Ravens and the Browns are both 1-4. The Browns are the Browns. The Ravens have the worst defense in football, and their quarterback is hurt. as a team that was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. Is there the thought that like Joe Flacco can just 500 them enough to stay in contention in the AFC North?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it, right? It's week 6. It's mid-October. The season is not over. The AFC top to bottom is, I think, the weaker of the two conferences. The AFC North is, it might not be up for grabs. Pittsburgh's going to have a lot to say about that, but,
Sure.
I think if you would have said to most people back in August, well, the Bengals are going to lose Joe Burrow, most would have said, well, Baltimore is going to run away with it. That hasn't happened. The Steelers obviously have a comfortable lead. But I don't think anybody goes, you know what, the Steelers are going to run away and hide and go 12-5 or 13-4, anything like that. So I think there's a combination of just where we are in the calendar. And also I think if everybody's being honest, and I'll talk about this from a fan perspective, most expect them to lose on Sunday. But okay, if Sunday is basically the game that Joe Flacco can use to kind of get used to being the quarterback of the Bengals, and then they host Pittsburgh here Thursday, and then the schedule kind of eases up a little bit, I do think they kind of view the Pittsburgh game as one where the season can start and where they can start to climb back to 500 and kind of hang in there, hoping that Joe Burrow's recovery and rehab goes well enough that he can play in mid-December.
With that being said, Mo, what's the feeling amongst Bengals fans, with Zach Taylor? Like Matt LaFleur, for example, here had a lot of criticism over the last few weeks. His decisions in Cincinnati, his decisions or the lack thereof against the Cowboys. Against Cleveland. Sorry.
Yep.
So what's the feeling amongst you guys with Zach Taylor? I know you had the Super Bowl appearance, but Joe Burrow, a lot of Joes in Cincinnati these days. Joe Burrow going out with the injury. Now it's kind of like a last-ditch effort to kind of save this season. Is he coaching for his future here this year in Cincinnati? What's the feeling amongst you guys?
Well, I think there's how fans feel and there's how ownership feels. Ownership of the Bengals. I think unfortunately most fans don't give Zach his due when he has deserved it. Somebody called my show yesterday and said, name for me a game where the Bengals had a coaching advantage or where Zach Taylor outcoached the other team. And I named a bunch of them because I think he's done it.
Okay.
I think most fans take issue with the fact that Zach Taylor calls plays. And I think that's a fair criticism because even when Joe Burrow has been healthy, they go through these offensive lulls that are almost inexplicable. And my take has always been, you know what, is there a better way for the offense to function? And could that way include Zach Taylor giving up play calling duties? I think the other parts of being a head coach, Zach's done pretty well. I've watched him steer the team through some adversity. He got Jake Browning ready to play 2 years ago, and the team made it to the second to last game of the season playing for a playoff spot. I don't think even in some of the leaner years where he's been the coach, including last year, that anybody has ever questioned the collective effort of the team. I don't think the locker room has ever fallen apart. I think those like culture things, I think Zach Taylor has checked a lot of those boxes pretty well. But the reality is they didn't make the postseason last year, despite the fact that Joe Burrow had an MVP caliber year. They changed
a great finish.
Yeah, they changed a lot of assistant coaches. And NFL head coaches only get so many chances to swap out their assistants. I get asked all the time, is he on the hot seat? I don't know that he's on the hot seat, but I do think it would be interesting if this really continues to totally unravel. If they are repeatedly non-competitive, right? The last 3 weeks, they've been non-competitive. You put that on Jake Browning. Mm-hmm. But if they're non-competitive again, then at some point the arrow is going to point to the head coach. And then if the lack of competitiveness continues, does the locker room fracture? Does the team's effort start to get compromised? I frankly look more at the construction of the roster and what the front office didn't do this offseason. I view that as a bigger deal this year. But sure, when a coach who's been in one place for more than 6 years has swapped out assistants and, doesn't make the playoffs for a third straight year, if that ends up being the case, I think their performance is going to be under scrutiny. And so you add to that, if there are the sort of things this year that we haven't seen the previous 6 in terms of effort, cohesion, things like that, then I think the conversations about Zach are going to be really interesting.
Mo Egger, ESPN Cincinnati, joining us here on The Fan. And looking around the NFL, we talk about sports on the radio, for for however many hours a day, a week that we do, and we think we know what we're talking about. And then the Packers go to Cleveland and lose to the Browns. Then Philadelphia loses to the New York Football Giants resoundingly last night. When you see results like that you don't necessarily expect, what is your reaction as not necessarily a Bengals fan, but as a football fan when just like, games with big spreads that that you don't even have to think about. Oh, obviously this team's going to win. And then it goes the opposite direction, which seems to happen every week.
It's why we watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's why, it's why, for my money, sports are the greatest form of entertainment, because what you think, it turns out you don't, and so to me, it's what makes the league great. It's what makes sports great. At the end of the day, what we think is going to happen often ends up not being the case. There are a number of instances, even in Bengals history, where that has kind of been the case. I talked about this week. Zach Taylor in 2020, when Joe Burrow got hurt, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on a Monday night with Ryan Finley playing quarterback. Ryan Finley, that was the last game he ever played. He completed 7 passes that night.
Crazy.
Pittsburgh had 2 losses coming into that game in mid-December, and yet they figured out a way to knock off the Steelers, and so that's what makes it fun. Now, that said, I think everybody here would tell you that if the Bengals ended up going to Green Bay and winning with Joe Flacco as the quarterback as 14.5-point underdogs, it would go down as one of the most remarkable upsets in the history of not just the Bengals, but area sports in this region. Yeah.
No, I think you're absolutely right there. Sunday, 3:25, Bengals at Packers. I don't know if you make predictions. I don't know if you want to make a prediction. I don't know if you want to just make a prediction for our friends at the Potawatomi Sportsbook here in downtown Milwaukee, where it is listed at 14.5 points. That's a lot of points, but the Vikings and the Broncos didn't have any trouble with that number.
No, and the Lions covered as well at 10.5. I think it's going to be something like 34-17 Green Bay. I do think Joe Flacco is going to give them a spark. I do believe that just the fact that the Bengals didn't maintain the status quo is probably sent a jolt of excitement through the team. I think it's only natural. But at the end of the day, they haven't been able to run the ball all season. The defense, while I don't think has been as culpable in this team's demise as it was last year, still hasn't been able to get stops when they've needed. And they just have too many offensive question marks and limitations to, I think, believe that they're going to go on the road and win a game in which they're covered, in which they're underdogs by 14.5 points. A number that big, you kind of feel like maybe the back door is going to open, and it nearly did for the Bengals last week against Detroit. So maybe that happens. But I think this is going to be not nearly as non-competitive as the last few weeks for the Bengals, but I have a hard time believing you go from losing 48-10, 28-3, and then 37-24 to going on the road and upsetting a team coming off a bye as 14.5-point underdogs.
I think that's a fair assessment. Mo Egger, ESPN Cincinnati. Mo, thank you so much for joining us throughout the Bengals and Cincinnati Reds seasons. I'm sure we'll be catching up with you soon. And, whenever you move on to your next quarterback, whoever that, maybe you guys will go get Shedeur Sanders.
I think Don Mikowski actually is going to be the guy they call next.
I mean, the Magic Man, he was Magic in 1989.
Lynn Dickey's still with us. Can we get him? How about that guy, huh?
That guy threw the ball all over the yard. Mo, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah. Man, Lynn Dickey. Brandon, you remember Lynn Dickey at all?
No, that's before my time.
Yeah, it's a little bit before my time, but I remember it vaguely.
Yeah.
I just remember the Packers had no defense in every game. It wasn't that every game was in the 40s. It just felt like, because they had that famous game against Washington. That was that Monday night game was 48-47 or whatever it was. It just felt like every Lynn Dickey game was that type of game.
I'm spoiled. I was born into the Brett Favre era.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers era, Jordan Love era. I don't know what bad quarterback looks like.
89 with Mikowski, man, was magic. It really was. It was unbelievable.
We've been pretty lucky.
Yeah. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're going to talk a little Giannis next. The Bucks 2-0 in the preseason.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
Yeah, Thanasis with a great move last night. Giannis jumped up and down, was fired up. A great finish in traffic. And Stephen A., Charles Barkley, and others, and the Sham have been talking about Giannis. Man, Sham. He's such a...
I don't know if you're going to like my take then.
All
I'll
right,
save it.
No, we'll say, no, my take it. All right. Yeah, I'm excited to get into that. This is the Mason Crosby Show. We are in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
forward to the weekend. Partying. Fun. Looking forward to the weekend.
It's Friday, right?
It is,
Yeah,
but I'm not
right.
looking forward to the weekend. But yeah, it is Friday.
Well, you're not looking forward to Saturday night.
I'm
You
not
are-
looking forward to Saturday night. I'm not looking forward to Sunday afternoon. None
What's
of these.
Sunday afternoon?
The Packers, and you know
Come
what's going to
on.
happen. You know what's going to happen.
Right, it's going to be closer than you want it to
Exactly.
be, but it's still going to be okay.
Can't I just put on a game and it's my team just blows out the other team and I can enjoy
Yes,
it?
that happens sometimes. Game 1 and game 2 for the
Yeah.
Brewers. That
And then
happens.
what do? We flip the
But did
freaking
you
lineup.
did you enjoy those games? Or did you
no,
not like right, exactly.
not
See?
when it's playoff games. I don't enjoy playoff games.
Right. Did you enjoy the Packers' first 2 games?
Later in both of those games, but that Washington game got closer than I wanted it to.
Did, but it didn't really.
This is a hot take, Mitch, but I know maybe you've been doing this a long time. Like, I don't enjoy Packer games.
No, I understand that. I understand.
Kuhn can't believe it.
Well,
Kuhn and Rami can't believe it.
Well, but Kuhn's a player.
Right.
Players think differently. Like
Completely.
they don't understand the mindset of the fan.
And Rami's a Bears fan and a
Right.
Chicago fan, so he's
Right.
used
Does he
to
enjoy
disappointment.
Bears games?
He said he does,
Then he's not.
but he doesn't enjoy Cubs fan.
Then he's not a real fan.
Right.
Yeah. He's a real Cubs fan. He's not a real Bears fan.
Yeah.
No, I understand. And that's one of the reasons why when your team wins, whatever it ends up they winning, like we see the euphoria of the fans, and we're almost jealous of those fans, I would argue.
Oh, 100%.
Because our feeling is of relief.
Mm-hmm.
Our feeling isn't of joy. Our feeling is of relief because we just picture all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And then when they don't go wrong, we are relieved as opposed to it's time to party because it's Friday and Rebecca Black told us to. Speaking of, Shams is in the news again. The sham of ESPN because he can't keep Giannis's name out of his mouth. And yes, did the Bucks and Knicks have discussions? Sure. Did they talk during the offseason? Of course they did. John Horst is going to take any call he takes. But if you know that the Knicks don't have anything in their arsenal to trade for Giannis. Like they traded for Michael Bridges a year ago, and they have nothing left to trade. Here's Stephen A.
If you're the New York Knicks and you had an opportunity to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't give a damn what you have to give up. The cheerleaders, the security personnel, the concession work. I don't give a damn what you got to do. If you could get Giannis to the Garden, I mean, that would have been spectacular. And I know that that's something that the New York Knicks believe they have a chance of pulling off.
Right. And Stephen A knows better. Like I would say to Stephen A, you know better. Like they don't want the cheerleader. They don't want the security yard. They want 6 number ones. And the Knicks have control of 1 number 1 right now in the next 8 years because they've traded them away. And so the Knicks aren't even in the conversation. Like they're as part of that report that Shams actually accurately made is that the conversation never got anywhere. Yes, John Horst took the call, but the Knicks have nothing to offer that the Bucks could ever find desirable for Giannis. So it's a non-starter. And if that's the only team that Giannis gave the Bucks permission to have a discussion about him this offseason, none of it matters. It's not relevant. It might be real that conversations happened. And I think as Bucks fans, we need to realize that these conversations are real. That Giannis is thinking about this. Giannis is always thinking about his legacy. He's always thinking about how he's going to get a second ring. He's always analyzing the Bucks roster. He's always looking at every single other team in the NBA. Listen, if the Utah Jazz were the best team in the NBA and they had the picks and the spot to get Giannis, he would go to Utah. Would he rather go to New York? Sure.
That's not what Giannis has said, though. That's the problem I have with it.
What do you mean that's not what he has said?
Giannis has said, I am never leaving Milwaukee. I want to be in Milwaukee.
That's what he said years ago. He has not said that recently.
He said that within the last
offseason,
2 years.
This offseason, though, he said he will go, if it makes sense, he will go somewhere where he has a better chance to win a chip. Now he's not looking to go anywhere.
Well, he
he's
shouldn't.
not pursuing anything.
He shouldn't,
But
because the front office here and ownership has done everything and so much more for Giannis. And
Sure.
I love Giannis. I would
on.
sacrifice a child.
Here's Charles Barkley.
Go ahead.
And then
They feel like they're entitled to play for the championship every year. As a great player, you should feel like, I'm a great player. If I get any help, we're going to win. And you got to give Milwaukee Bucks credit. I wish the person loved me as much as the Bucks love Giannis. I really do. They went out and got him Dame Lillard. They went out and got him Miles Turner. They have done everything possible to try to make the Bucks win again. So the notion that he don't feel like they're doing everything in their power, they have done everything. Seriously, I want a person to love me as much as the Bucks love Giannis. I mean, they did. They went out and got Dame. They went out and got Miles Turner. They've done everything possible. So it's unfortunate that he feels like he's entitled to win a championship every year. Everybody wants to win a championship. But the Bucks have done everything they possibly could. It's disheartening for me to hear him thinking like, if we don't win the championship this year, I want to be out of here. I hate hearing that.
I don't think he said that.
I think he did.
You think he did say
I
that?
absolutely did.
When he said, we'll reevaluate things in 6 or 7 months?
Like, and that's the thing that bothers me the most, Mitch. And I love
Okay.
Giannis. Like, I'm team Giannis 99.9% of the time. But I got to have a hard pause here with this whole Giannis talk. And this is what made me the most frustrated this offseason. We heard that you talked about Shams and the article and the rumors and the talking points and whatnot. Giannis had a perfect opportunity at media availability. I know he had COVID. I know he was doing it via Zoom.
Yep.
But he had a perfect opportunity to come to that and kill those rumors, and he didn't. He didn't,
because they're not killable rumors.
But you can't.
They're
But in the
true.
same breath, you
They're
can't
true.
say I want to go to the team that gives me the best opportunity. Charles named 2 players. You forget that they paid Chris Middleton a max contract. You forget they went out and traded a boatload of number 1 picks for Drew Bledsoe, who helped get the Bucks to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019. And when that didn't work out, they did the same thing in going out and getting Drew Holiday. This franchise, this organization, this ownership has not only dipped into the luxury tax, not only have they given up all their assets to make sure number 34 was happy, at some point, and I hate to say the quiet part out loud, but somebody has to. Number 34, Mitch, has to look himself in the mirror and say, you know what? You got to be better. You got to be healthy going forward. This team, this front office, this ownership has done everything to give you the assets to win a championship. Number 34, you have failed to meet your end of the bargain. And oh, by the way, they've given you an amount of money that your kids will be well taken care of for the future. Like, there's not a better opportunity anywhere else in the NBA. If the Bucks were to trade Giannis, Mitch, what's that going to do to that team?
I mean, I think it's almost too crazy to even consider what it could look like.
Correct.
In terms of players and or draft picks. But here, here's where I come on the honest thing. I think 2 things can be true. I think he can love Milwaukee, and I think he can want to play here for his entire career. And I think he can also want to win a second championship, and at some point in his career realize that's not in Milwaukee. And I think that can be okay. I don't think he has to play his whole career here.
I mean, he said he said he wants to be like Kobe. He wants to be like Dirk and Tim Duncan. He said those words.
He has said those words, but now he has said, I'm locked into whatever I have in front of me. I wear this jersey. The rest does not matter. Now, if in 6 or 7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too.
He's laying the groundwork.
Right.
That's laying the groundwork.
He's allowed to change his mind. He's allowed to realize that 3 years ago, when he's 27, and he realizes that they're 1 year out of winning the championship, and Middleton's coming back healthy, and Drew Holiday's still there, and he's surrounded by his guys. Yeah, I'm going to stay here forever, man. This is great. We're going to compete for the next 5 years with this core. We're going to be in multiple Eastern Conference Finals, multiple finals, and then everything goes sideways, right? Chris can't stay healthy. And then they get Drew, then they get Dame, and then Dame is banged up, and then Giannis can't stay healthy. And I think that's part of what you're saying is like that it's on him. But for all these reasons and for whatever reasons, it has not worked out the way Giannis or the Bucks or Bucks fans would have liked it to since 2021. And you know what? that's, again, kind of like whatever happens tomorrow at AmFam Field happens. That's the way sports goes sometimes. Do we want Giannis in a Bucks uniform his entire career? Sure. Am I going to be upset if he's not? I'm not. I know a lot of Bucks fans are going to be. Now, because I'm also not going to be upset about it because I believe that the Bucks aren't going to let him walk and they're not going to trade him for pennies on the dollar. I think whoever gets Giannis is trading 5 or 6 number ones and 2 or 3 NBA players.
And does that give that team a better chance to win with Giannis? Probably not.
Not my problem.
But that
His
contract,
problem.
right? But that's
His
what I'm saying.
problem.
He's had so many chances in Milwaukee to
Right.
win a championship. The front office went out and got you Damian Lillard, and you guys couldn't make it work.
I know. I'll give you an example. Let's say San Antonio's the team, okay?
Yep.
And let's say Wemby's not on the table, but everybody else is. And they get 6 number ones, and they get 2 of their up-and-coming really good players. Is that enough for Giannis? It's not fair value, but it's probably enough. You know, you got 2. They have 2 rookies of the year there, not Wemby.
Yeah, it's there.
You
I think so.
give me 2 rookies of the year, or you give me one of the rookies of the year plus another solid borderline, like 5th or 6th best player on your team, and 6 number ones. Now, I know the number ones aren't going to be what you want them to be if San Antonio's as good as they think they'll end up being with Giannis and Wemby on the same team. But is Giannis going to go to that team? Yeah. I think he would. I think he would think he and Wemby can put together a roster good enough to compete for a championship, knowing there's no draft picks in the future. There's no draft picks helping, but and that's the type of solution that I think this ends up happening 2-3 years from now.
Do you think this gets to the point where the ownership goes to Giannis and they're like, you have to go out and publicly demand, we're not trading you. Like, you're going to have to go out. And then obviously free agency is a different conversation, but like, so if it comes down to like, he wants out after this year, say the Bucks bow out in the 1st or 2nd round and it's too early for Giannis.
Yep.
If I'm ownership, if I'm, Wes Edens, if I'm those guys, I'm going to Giannis and I'm like, dude, you're going to go and publicly demand this because I'm not trading you.
So, and this is how I really believe it'll work. I believe that is a we conversation. We are going to have a press conference. We're not telling you we're trading. We're trading you. You're not demanding a trade. We are holding a press conference to say that we are exploring all options and all opportunities. That might end up in a trade. That might end up in a trade of bringing somebody else to Milwaukee or a free agency signing to help Giannis and Miles Turner and whoever else ends up being on the roster next summer. But I think all of this, and if they don't do it, then shame on all of them. But I think this is a joint thing, and that is what makes Milwaukee special. Right? That is why Milwaukee loves Giannis and Giannis loves Milwaukee, because it's not James Dolan being an idiot, right? It's not Ballmer being an idiot. It's not owners or GMs just, having no regard for their players or their fan bases. It's Wes Edens, Jimmy Haslam, and Giannis and Horst at the table, and Doc at the table explaining we have underachieved. All of us, Giannis included, Chris Middleton included, Dame Lillard included, John Horst included, Mark Lazary, who's not in the room anymore, we have all underachieved since 21, and we all loved 21, and it was amazing, and we all remember it. And it's 5 years ago. Like, it was a special time to see, coming out of COVID, 80,000 people celebrating together at the Deer District. There's no doubt about it. But we are here to tell you, the people of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Bucks fans, as I'm wearing my Bucks gear today.
Yes, you are.
We are here to tell you that we are ready to explore options. At the end of the day, that might mean Giannis stays a Buck. At the end of the day, it might mean somebody who's not on the team right now, or somebody else on the team is traded for some. We don't know what it means. It might mean Giannis is wearing a different uniform. We don't know what it ends up looking like. But we're going to try to do our best by Giannis and by the Milwaukee Bucks and by the fans and by the season ticket holders and by the vendors and by the marketing partners. David Gruber will probably be sitting at the table, right?
I would imagine.
I mean, he's definitely in the room.
They probably made a call one time, and then
exactly.
they got him there.
Yeah. But I think that's what ends up. I think that could happen this summer.
I just hate how this NBA, like how it's all transitioned to. If I can't win here, I'm bouncing. I hate that aspect of the game, and I understand that.
But it's not super teams like it used to be.
It's not. But
like,
I
realize they need a team.
It's not. But like, you won a championship in Milwaukee. You obviously see that the ownership and the front office are constantly trying to improve.
That's
the team.
why he's still here.
For now,
he's still here, right? But he is still here.
But
right, he could have demanded a trade this offseason. When even before when Dame had his Achilles, he could have gone to Edens and Haslam said, "I'm out."
Well, and that's the other thing. Here's another great point that you bring up. I know we're against the clock, but that's another good point. He was upset about how they traded away Damian Lillard. What? I don't understand what you want then, man.
But
I don't understand.
I don't really think he was. I think that's public posturing. And I think it's also like, listen, Dame's my guy.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to bat for him.
Sure.
But at the end of the day,
you can't have two things can't be true in that aspect.
I agree. I think if you ask Dame, Giannis one-on-one privately never gets out, I think he's happy with what they did.
I mean, they got you the number one free agent.
Right.
By stretching out a contract for Damian Lillard that hasn't been done. Front office is constantly doing the right things. Like, we got to, I agree. It's got to be a two-way street.
He's Brandon Sneid. I'm Mitch Nellis. We are the Mason Crosby Show. Presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Tommy Wirtz and Charlie Usen in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Coming up next, just in a few minutes here. We'll be back to wrap things up next.
Mason Crosby's mind today. It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
All right. Great show, everybody. Great show. Yeah, great Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Did I sound like Mason?
That sounded pretty good. That was
like,
pretty good. That was pretty
literally
good.
Every time we do Mason's Extra Voice, oh, great show. It's like literally I want to give him a hug. Like, man, it was a great show.
But what if it's not? Is he just lying to you then?
We don't have
okay. I mean, I listen every day, so I think it's good.
I mean, it goes. We always have good topics. We're always flowing. Want to let everybody know about my friends at Underdog. Football season is in full swing. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action, make picks, win money right now in Wisconsin. Playing is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on rushing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, sacks, whatever stats you want to use. And, of course, you can play baseball playoffs as well. Man, wouldn't it be great if tomorrow night Jack and Christian and Bryce and Sal and Bill Contreras, professional hitter, all just went higher on all their numbers on Underdog. And it was just like we could sit back and relax because the offensive onslaught of our Milwaukee baseball team just went. That'd be amazing. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code ThunderMKE to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code ThunderMKE. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 or over and present in Wisconsin. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Our thanks again to Mo Egger and Mikey Henninger, both joining the show earlier today on the Fan Guest Hotline powered by Gruber Law. Brandon, tell me one thing. I know you're worried about tomorrow night. I know you're worried about Sunday. Tell me one thing you're not worried about this weekend.
I'm not worried about the Brewers fans bringing it at American Family Field. I think, Wrigley was lit. You got to give the Cubs fans a lot of credit. The environment there was fantastic. Yep. I think Brewers fans are going to rival that. I think they're going to bring it. I think the energy is going to be palpable at American Family Field in a do-or-die situation for our Brewers. In the year that we won more games in the regular season than we ever have, they're not going to go down without a fight. The fans are, at least. I don't know about the team.
Yeah. No. I think that's, I think the fans are going to be ready for this one. I don't mind a 7 p.m. start on a Saturday.
I don't either. I think it's perfect.
I don't like an 8 p.m. start on a weekday.
I don't like that either.
That was some bullcorn.
Twice, Mitch. Twice. I know. Come on.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I don't mind a 7 p.m. start. It's a long day. It'll also mean I don't have to watch a certain football game tomorrow that kicks off at 6 o'clock at Camp Randall. Is Wisconsin still is Iowa still only a 3-point favorite in that one?
That's a good question. I don't know if the Badgers win another game this year.
No, I don't think they do. We talked about that earlier this week and last week actually on the Mason Crosby show about they're not going to win another game. That's just, and they might be that's a problem. They're going to be competitive, but they're not going to win a game. So is that good?
No.
Do we want that? Or do we want them to just not be competitive?
See, but
I expect it's 3.5.
3.5 Iowa. So I'm okay with it because I don't have any expectations there. I expected the Brewers after they went up 2-0 to win the series. I expected the Packers after they started 2-0, maybe 2-0 is a jinx now. I expected them to go into the bye week undefeated or at least 3-1. I don't expect anything out of Badger football, so I'm not upset.
I think that's fair. Tomorrow night, I think we see Quintana.
Yep.
I think we see Mizorowski. Yep. I assume we see Priester.
You got to, right? I brought that up on 9 to noon. Rami doesn't think so, but I said he only threw 39 pitches.
Right, he only threw 39 pitches. I assume he'll be ready whether they use him or not. I assume we see Chad Patrick. And we all know if we see Koenig and Uribe at the end, that means good things.
We're cooking then.
I do wonder how many times Murph in his mind goes back and forth on the starting lineup. How many times does he look at game one and then see can I do that? Knowing that I do believe Colin Ray will pitch. I know Imanaga is on regular rest, and maybe that, but his first innings have been so horrible,
and he hasn't pitched good lately, right? Even into the regular or at the end of the regular season into the postseason.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, so much going on, so much to keep track of this weekend. The leadoff show I know is tomorrow night, and that should be fun with Tommy Wirtz at Kelly's Bleachers But that is the plan as of right now. So I know Tommy he'll just be watching the Badgers game the whole time. Like, but he's not even he's gonna like try to give the starting lineup, and like Iowa's gonna have its like 5th sack of the first quarter, and Tommy's gonna be like, "I told you so! I told you so! Nobody listens to me! I told you, Badgers!"
Well, he also tells us not to worry about the lineup that Murph puts out, but the last 2 times he's put out those lineups, it's resulted in losses for the Brewers. So I'm going to be worried about the lineup there, Tommy.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Tommy Wirtz and Charlie using coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's right here on 1250 AM, 105.7 FM. The Fan. We're free on the Odyssey app. We're free on the iHeart app. We're free on YouTube. Remember, that's YOUTUBE for those of you who don't know. And if you don't know, now you know. It's on your phone. It's on your computer. Find us on YouTube. Send us a message like Joseph did. Joseph, have a great weekend. Brandon, have a great weekend.
You as well, my friend.
Let's get some wins.
Let's do it.
All right.